What is the most Karen thing a Karen had even done to you? Personally? Story 1. I got fired for laughing at that Karen when I was working at a call center back in the days. It was a male version of Karen, but it was the most Karen-ing I've heard. It went something like this. Maybe 12 years ago by now. Hi, this is X Company. How may I help you today? Hi, this is Karen. You just delivered me a washing machine today, okay? How may I assist you with that? You see, when I try to use it, only hot water comes out even when I put cold water cycle. Have you tried to switch the hoses to the other hole in the back? I think you might have just put your hot water output on the cold water entry of the washing machine. It's really easy to do. I know what I'm doing. I worked for your company 25 years. Don't tell me I'm wrong. Okay, sir, what do you want from me then? We can always send back the truck and get you a new one. It's going to be $89 for the call and 4 weeks of delivery for a new washing machine. Yes, you sent a broken one. I want them back now. Oh, okay. Let me call them. They went back there and checked the hoses. Obviously, the old guy just swapped them out and had HG linked up. He waited almost a month to get a new one and paid triple fees for the installation twice and the time it took to take it back out of his home, just to not agree he might have made a mistake. And yes, I got fired because my boss had listened to this call and didn't like how I was laughing at the guy when I explained how wrong he was and that it was a simple mistake. Story 2. When I worked at the Home Depot, a Karen told me that she didn't want any black men to install her flooring. I was in charge of arranging her order and told her that we don't select which individuals exactly will install her floor and that she'll get who she gets. She proceeds to have a fit about it, demands white installers, asks to speak to my manager. I'm so glad she did because my manager's name was Dwayne and he was a real big black dude. Turns out, she didn't want to speak to the manager. Story 3. When I was working retail, this one woman had a big bag of coupons. Most of them were unusable because either they were expired or they were duplicates. She berated me because the system was rejecting most of the coupons. She called me stupid amongst other names, telling me I just wasn't doing it right. Then, as a typical Karen would, she asked to speak with my manager. My manager came and asked what the problem was. The women ranted about how incompetent I was because I didn't know how to scan a coupon. My manager looked at the coupons and the coupons were the problem, not me. My manager bitched out the customer for being disrespectful for me and told the customer to leave the store. I hated working there, but I'm so grateful that I had managers that totally didn't go by the customer is always the right rule and weren't afraid to stand up for their employees. That was just one of many incidents. Story 4. I had a Karen come in with a bunch of coupons too. Most of them weren't accepted by the system because they were duplicates. She decided I was incompetent and demanded I call a manager because I couldn't even ring up coupons correctly. Who knows what else I can't do correctly? My manager came and Karen started saying that I had an attitude, that I was ignoring her. I refused to scan coupons because I was a lazy teen. She even said I cussed at her for bringing in a bag of coupons. I just kind of stared at her because who decides to try to mess with someone's job like that? I was so frustrated I had to walk away. But once I got home, I thought of something hilarious, at least to me. I wished I could have just stared at her like I'm mesmerized by her talking and interject in the middle of the story, and ask her with wide eyes and then what happened. Story 5. Worked at a grocery store and a coworker put a 99 sticker on my shirt. We were 2 of maybe 5 employees, so we were all good friends and everything is funny when you gotta pass time on a shift, so I just left it there. Some woman came through my line and asked me why I had a sticker on my shirt, and I just kinda laughed it off. She asked if I thought it was funny, and I was like, not really, but sorta. She asked if my coworker put it there, to which I responded, yes. She told me she was going to speak to the store owner because it was disrespectful to behave that way at work. She told me to call my manager, and I did, but he was a super cool guy and knew this lady was a fucking idiot. She talked to the store owner and my manager about firing me to no avail. She accomplished nothing and was a cunt. The end. Story 6. Came up to my register and asked for the price of a protein bar. Every item in the store had a physical price tag because we didn't have scanners at the register. I took it from her, flipped it over, and let her know it was $2.49 before tax. She asked me how much the case would be. Normally, we did discounts for cases, but they had to be ordered ahead of time. So I started explaining we couldn't do a discount unless she cut me off aggressively and hissed I didn't ask for a discount. So I typed in $2.49 multiplied by 12, added tax, and told her the final price. She stared me down for a few minutes before asking me to get my manager. Once my manager arrived, she spent literally 10 minutes tearing into me, describing me as the least helpful person ever, talking about my bad attitude, complaining about how awful and rude I was, etc. I was working nearly full-time, 35.5 hours per week, and commuting to a school over an hour away 4 days a week. This lady took the time out of her day to break me down to the point I started crying. Thanks, Karen. I still remember you. Hope you enjoyed your fucking protein bar. Story 7. Doctor here. I used to work in a public night shift service, kinda like an emergency room but for non-emergencies to keep the hospitals clear of white codes. So anything from a fever to a sore throat to prescriptions for urgent treatments. And a Karen walks in at 3 a.m. asking for a prescription for hypertension drugs, which isn't unusual, as old people, more often than not, but she looked 55, sometimes don't notice they're running low. Anyway, the law, not a rule, not my decision, the law, states that this service can only write prescriptions for potentially life-threatening conditions drugs for a maximum of 72 hours coverage. So if you take 1 pill a day, I can only prescribe you a single blister. Here we don't have bottles, but blisters. And while I'm writing the prescription, Karen casually mentioned that she was insomniac. And while cleaning the medicine cabinet, she realized she was down to her last full blister. My pen stops. I ask her to repeat, full blister. Yeah, so I take the prescription, tear it in half, then again. Then I throw it in the bin, explaining her the law. She gets mad, starts yelling, and threatened to call the cops. Go ahead. Cops came, and she triumphantly announced that I'm refusing to treat her. I explain the situation, and they ask her if it's true that she has a full blister, and she, of course, being a Karen who is always right no matter what, confirms it. The cops look at her, still with a look of triumph, waiting for them to arrest me. Then at me, then ask her politely to leave, as I'm in the right. She's livid. The day after, my boss called me and cracked up because she went there during the day to talk to the manager, and my boss, told her the exact same thing. Story 8. Never saw her again. I met plenty of Karens while working retail, but there's one who stands out. Karen was Indian and had the most entitled attitude of anyone I've ever met. She was also a regular customer, so we had to deal with her shit at least twice a week. Karen's favorite pastime would be to literally fill a trolley with clearance items. These are a nightmare as you have to reduce the price on the till manually. Management was worried about scanning fraud and so had disabled the multiplication button on the till. This means that each item has to be scanned and discounted individually. Once all of her items had been scanned and discounted, Karen would always kick up a fuss over the price, accusing us of overcharging her and demanding to see a manager. Some managers would give in to Karen, which meant voiding the transaction and starting over. If they told Karen to get lost, she'd complain about never shopping here again and storm out, leaving a full trolley of goods to put back. Thanks, bitch. Either way, the entire shit show would take at least an hour. There was a nice moment of karma for Karen, however. One winter, we had an especially heavy snowstorm. Our policy in this case is to clear the car park access to the spaces closest to the door. We do this as very few people come out when it's snowing and it lets people park as close as possible. Not Karen, though. Oh no. She pulls into the car park, drives into the uncleared section, and tries to drive through a snowdrift, hitting a covered bollard in the process. She then clumps into the store, demands to see the manager, and proceeds to yell at him point blank. Apparently, she was going to sue us and get every employee fired for not clearing her usual parking space of snow. Our manager responded by banning her from our store for being abusive towards staff. Story 9. Working retail one afternoon, and here comes Karen with a return. At first glance, it's no big deal, just coming in to return a shirt. She walks up to the register, hands me the receipt to start processing, and we exchange a pleasant greeting. I take the shirt out of the bag to examine it, and it is beyond disgusting. There were brown sweat stains all over it, from the pits to the stomach to the shoulder. It looked like whoever wore it rolled in mud or some nonsense. I proceed to tell Karen that I cannot return the product because it had clearly been used and that only unused and resellable items could be returned. Karen threw a fit, started screaming at me and accusing me of calling her a liar and whatnot. I hold up the shirt and point to the brown pit stains and say, "Karen, can't you see this stain?" Oh man, did that make it worse. She continues making a huge scene and demands to see the manager. Newsflash, Karen. I am the manager, and I'm not budging. After 20 or so minutes of complaining, she finally leaves saying she'll be complaining to corporate and getting me fired and blah blah. Fast forward a few days. A guy walks into the store, finds the first store associate he can, and immediately asks for me by name. Oh, here we go again. Anyway, my associate brought the guy over to where I'm standing and I politely greet him. The guy spends the next 10 minutes apologizing for his crazy wife Karen verbally abusing my staff in a few days prior. Apparently, the guy went to the beach and did some type of CrossFit training class in the sand. Karen knows all of this. She was at the class with him. The guy ended up not liking the shirt for some reason, and Karen thought she could pull a fast one on us by making a scene. Think again, Karen. Story 10. I have dealt with some fairly entitled people as claims adjusters. I posted this a while back. I once had the misfortune of taking some high-end insured's claim. When our richer insureds hit someone or get hit, they typically get a personal adjuster who does everything. However, they sent it off to me. Something about vacations. In any case, the best part about these claims is how easy they are. You say yes as long as it is not completely bonkers and write checks later. So our insured hit this lady's Ferrari. The claimant, Mrs. Ferrari Lady, wants to take it to the Ferrari dealership. I said fine. She demanded a rental. I told her that was not a problem. Take the Ferrari over there and we'll get you another Ferrari, not a fucking piece of shit Nissan Sentra like last time's. I call the dealership and explain to them how to proceed. Make sure to get her into a rental, make it nice and easy, and send me the bill. We'll get it handled. At this point, I'm telling the dealership to proceed forward as they see fit, to shoot first and ask questions later. The last thing I want are problems with one of these claims, and we have the power and authority to do so. Our insureds paid out the ass for the extra service, even for their claimants. The guy on the phone tells me he'll make sure everything is good. I just gave this guy a golden ticket. He can hand her a $250 day car rental, and we'll be writing the check, no questions asked. Start repairs ASAP, order the parts today, don't bug me. And send the bill, he gets it. Life is supposed to be simple. I literally want him to email me the estimate. I send him the check and email him a screenshot. That's it. This claim should be fucking easy. I get a call 2 hours later. The woman is pissed. Maybe she got a dumb tech who didn't hear the news. Nope. Even I couldn't get that lucky. She's out of her mind, so I talked to a rep that is capable of conversing without screaming like a banshee at everything. He explains she has refused to take a rental. I ask why. She wants the same urine color and model. He tells me he just spent 30 minutes calling any dealer in the city, knowing full well I will pay the markup for having the dealership rent a car from a competitor. There are no rental Ferraris in the area that match that request, and none in the nearest 3 cities apparently. I ask our manager, my manager refuses to ship in another Ferrari. Damn it! She goes bonkers and nothing is accomplished. I can't even get a word in. They take the phone conversation to the dealership service manager's office. He asks her why she will not take the rental. After all, this should be easy, and she said this: I need an exact year, make and model of the rental car because I am going to the country club this Saturday and just cannot, let everybody know I was in an accident. I could not even process that shit. I was in such a state of shock, I said nothing. The level of entitlement was so great I could not even process it. This woman was one of the ultra-rich. Even a Sentra would be perfectly serviceable for me. This woman was devastated by not having her life in perfect order. The delay was long enough that they thought I hung up the phone.